and I think all of them will have great listening to you. First of all, let me say that your book is very, very readable. And I think you have been honest, you have put it all out, great anecdotes and great lessons. So what inspired you to write this book?
Part of it had to do with getting older. And what happens as you learn things yourself over a long period of time, I started our business 35 years ago, you actually make sufficient number of mistakes that you'd like to help other people not make the same mistakes. You may make others, but you shouldn't make the ones that we did. And I thought it would be really useful to describe how you get to do things, create things, grow big things, figure out how to interview. Exactly what he said, but the dumbest blah 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 he's ever met was just a warm-up. In my family, no one ever raised their voice. I thought that was normal. Only when I got to college and met some other people did I realize that wasn't normal. So with this guy screaming at me, the way my receptors work was like multiplied 3 times. And it almost went on forever as far as I could emotionally take this on. And I realized when I was sitting there that my face was getting really red and hot. And I was so embarrassed, so shamed by this experience that I was going to start crying. And I said, I just can't let myself cry. I can't do that. I'm in charge of an organization. And so I didn't cry, but I walked out. I remember it was a sunny day in the fall. The office was right by the Hudson River. The trees were all turning different colors. And I said, I am never going to lose money again for anybody. Never. I'm never going to sit in a situation like that of our making my personal failure. And as a result of that, we designed a whole method of approving deals, writing with risk factors, with a team of really experienced people, debating each of those risks, how likely it was to happen, what the magnitude of damage to the project would occur, and we typically didn't have all the information. We'd send the team back a second time, a third time, and I have another rule I developed. If you're going to a meeting, there are no paid guests. If you're invited to a meeting, you're there to participate. Nobody has the right to sit there and watch other people debate something. They shouldn't be in the room. Go and do something else and be useful. If you're going to be there, you're going to have thought about the issue, you're going to own this decision like the rest of us, and we're all going to debate to get the right answer to protect capital and also, of course, learn about the upside. So without this miserable situation where we lost all our money, I don't think I ever would have come up with this approach. And we use that approach everywhere in the firm. Just to give you some idea, out of the last 700 deals that we've done, we've only had 1 bankruptcy, no liquidations. That's less than 1/10 of 1% mistakes. So if you did.
I think we have time for just a couple more questions, maybe on this side.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Yash.
Through what the potential is of your idea. When you go out to raise money, which inevitably you have to do not go to your best prospect first. That's the mistake I made. It's the mistake everybody makes. And
The reason you don't do that is you don't fully know what you're doing yet either. And they will ask questions that you won't have the answer to the first time. So schedule your best people towards the end and experiment on people you don't know so well. You'll find it surprising that the people you know well won't have much sympathy for you if you haven't thought things through thoroughly. And it's hard to think things through when you don't know what you're doing. So it's the reverse order, which is surprising, and you won't like it because you'll think it'll take you longer. And you could be much more efficient if the first 2 or 3 people solve all your problems. Don't do that. Blackstone continue with its current posture of investing in real estate and buying companies, and the answer is yes. We have a robust pipeline now in terms of expanding our real estate. We're the largest owner of office buildings in India, and we have plans over time to increase that very substantially. In the private equity area, we're always looking for new things, and in the last 18 months, in private equity and real estate together, we've committed $6 billion US dollars here in India. To the extent that the economy stays slower and inflation's higher and the banking system isn't as liquid and extending as much credit as the economy wants, that provides new opportunities for us, because we have at Blackstone about $150 billion that is not invested yet. And so the scale of things here in India does not represent a challenge. It's really just how interesting are the things that we might be doing. So the fact that the overall tone of the economy isn't as good is not troubling to us. The question was what is my current outlook for India? I'm not sure because I'm not Indian. I don't live here, and I'm visiting. And the economy has slowed, and the government's done a lot of good policies with tax cuts and other types of stimulation, money for education in a very large way. So all of those are good foundations. I'd say that the financial system needs to deal effectively with the stage in the cycle where the financial institutions are, where they're not as robust as I think everyone would like them to be. So somebody asked, most foreign investors aren't interested in India. Why is Blackstone? That's sort of a good question, and we're interested because India has grown enormously and is now the 5th biggest economy in the world. It's going to have the youngest working age cohort in the world. They're becoming better educated. India is making enormous strides in the technology area. And all of these things are really good. Education levels are going to be going up. And these are things that work well with the future. And we've watched India grow dramatically since we've been here in 2006. This is a long-term commitment from Blackstone. And slight downturns in economies and things of that type don't affect us. Our perspective as an individual investment is in a 5 to 10 year range, and we have a lot of confidence in the country. Sometimes it's easier to be an outsider rather than live someplace because you feel what happens on a day-to-day basis a lot more.